This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right. It's your boy Jay McLovin here with Tony Gonzalez. Quick update here on the afternoon show. Our boy Gonzo is back home resting and on meds, and hopefully he will be back on the show relatively soon. It's just good to find out that he's good and them coffins are behind him, and what a day it is. Real quick, Tony, I thought you'd get a kick out of this starting off the show. I was going to make you laugh a little bit at my own expense, for that matter. So Jerry Jones, I came across this actually on the video of it on Facebook. I thought it was hilarious. Jerry Jones was asked by a reporter, and the reporter said, Jerry, let me ask you this. You've been, for the last 30 years, you haven't been in the Super Bowl. It's been, a little bit of a disappointment for you as a GM, much less an owner. He goes, let me ask you, if you ask any owner of any franchise, of any sport, if they would hire you as the GM, do you really think they would? And now Jerry thought about it for a minute. And of course he said, yes, it's Jerry Jones. But I thought it was real. But, I think they said that when he went home after that interview, he was so livid and upset and irate. But it's true. Yeah. I mean, sometimes, he has to give the political answer of yes. But in reality, he knows that if somebody walked into his office looking for the job as the GM of the Cowboys, and they had 30 years of no Super Bowl, ain't no way in hell he's hiring them. And that's just a simple fact. I just thought you'd get a kick out of that. I saw that interview a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, I agree. Well, Jay, let's jump right into we got quite a bit to cover. We got some college football, a little bit of NFL, NBA. Some of the trades yesterday in the NFL, but let's jump into the college football. The college football bracket rankings was released. I'm just going to do the top 12 rankings first, and then we'll talk about the bracket. Ohio State was number 1, IU 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, Ole Miss 6, BYU 7, Texas Tech 8, Oregon 9, Notre Dame 10. Texas 11, Oklahoma 12. Now, in those rankings, Jay, was there anything in there that you agreed with, disagreed with? Anything stood out to you as far as the top 12 rankings go?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's Notre Dame and Oklahoma. I don't think either one of those teams should be in the top 12. Obviously, for obvious reasons with Oklahoma is just looking horrible. I really feel like the only reason Notre Dame is in there is because of that, and we talked about that on Coast to Coast, was the close game against A&M. I think it was a 1-point differential. I think Stat Guy said it perfectly when he said that if Notre Dame would have gotten blown out by A&M, or if it had been more of a larger deficit by A&M, that Notre Dame wouldn't even be in this. So I don't like the fact that Notre Dame is in this, and I don't like the fact that OU is in this. I just think neither one of those teams really are deserving of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the team, of course, BYU's undefeated, and so they're 7, so I understand. One that because they've lost, and it wasn't a great loss, was Texas Tech being 8. I thought Texas Tech was a little too high, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Oregon's got one loss to the number two team in the country. I know it was at home, and some people also said, that's the only loss they got, but they should be beating up on teams worse than what they are. But one thing about Oregon, they got a chance to prove herself. I think out of the next 3 or 4 games, they've got Washington, who's over 500 team, I think ranked in the top 25. They've got Illinois, who's in the top 25, and they've got USC, who's like a top 25 team. So they got 3 ranked teams in the top 25 in their next 3 or 4 games. So if Oregon runs that table, they're going to move up. Yeah, I seen some people online saying Alabama should be number 1 with some of the teams they beat, and they beat some good teams. I agree. The problem is you got a terrible loss against Florida State. I mean, that's why if they had beat Florida State, would be higher than 4 right now. They would be 1 or 2 right now, in my opinion.
Right.
But you lost to Florida State. I mean, you can't. People say, "Well, it was a fluke." Fluke my ass. You got first of all, you got your ass beat by Florida State. Yeah, I understand it was the first game of the year, but it is what it is. Is Alabama the same team they was when they lost to Florida State? No, I think they're a lot better, but it is what it is. Now let's go through what the bracket would look like. The top 12 teams: Ohio State, IU, Texas A&M, and Alabama would all get a bye the first round. And then number 5 is Georgia, Ole Miss is 6, BYU 7, Texas Tech 8, Oregon 9, Notre Dame 10, Virginia is in at 11 right now, and Memphis is in at 12. So, but that all that can change, you know. But right now, like I said, Texas and Oklahoma would be the first 2 teams out. But I agree with you. But it don't make a big difference right now because you know what kind of schedule Texas has got. I think Texas is more deserving than Notre Dame right now. But it don't make a difference because if Texas don't win their games, you know, and they got some tough games, especially compared to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think, has a cakewalk of a schedule, so Notre Dame is in good shape.
Yeah, I really thought that Georgia Tech. I would rather have seen Georgia Tech at 10 versus Notre Dame. But the only problem with Georgia Tech is their schedule.
Yeah,
you know,
just
isn't tough enough to get them in there.
They had a bad that last loss to North Carolina State was a bad loss. I mean, you give up like 48 points to North Carolina State, who might be 500. I'm not even sure if they're 500. So they're close to 500 or a game over. So that was a bad loss for them. Or Georgia Tech would be in there right now, but that's a bad loss for them. And the thing of it is, IU and Ohio State's not going to end up 1 or 2. If they both go undefeated the rest of the season, they're going to play each other in the conference championship game. One of them's going to lose, and one of them's going to drop out of the 1 or 2 spot. I don't think last year in the conference games, teams didn't drop that far if they lost. So I think Ohio State or IU, as long as it's a decent game, as long as it ain't a blowout, I think either one of those teams that lose would still stay, in my opinion, will stay in the top 4. But that's just my opinion. If it's a decent game, because it's a conference game. If you go undefeated in your regular season, 13-0, you play in a conference championship and you lose by a touchdown, I don't think that should, you shouldn't drop too much. So I would think that they would have a good chance to stay in the top 4, at least. At the lowest, I would say 5, but I would say probably top 4. Anything that stood out to you on the top 12 teams that would be in right now? With Virginia and Memphis being in there.
No, are you talking about the way it is? Is there anything else about the rankings that stood out to me? Is that what you're asking?
Well, see, right now, like I said, 11 and 12 is in the rankings is Texas and Oklahoma. But if you go to the bracket, Texas and Oklahoma don't make it, and Virginia and Memphis is in. Virginia and Memphis would be in the bracket right now instead of Texas or Oklahoma, even though they're ranked higher.
And let's be honest, I can see it. I mean, it's gonna be. I'll be honest, it's gonna be very hard for Texas and Oklahoma to get into the playoffs because they still have an extremely difficult schedule they have to go through. Like I said, Texas has to beat Georgia. Texas has to beat A&M. Both of them are top 5. So that's a very daunting task to ask out of this Texas team. Not that they can't do it, but it's going to be really, really hard. Secondly, Oklahoma is about to get killed, I think, by Alabama. I think they're going to pick up their 3rd loss. I think they play them this coming weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's this Saturday.
I think it's next weekend because I think
the 15th. They play them on the 15th. Yeah, so you're right.
They got LSU. Alabama's got LSU this week.
Yeah, I apologize. That's what I meant. So Oklahoma has Alabama on the 15th. I think they have a bye, or they're not playing this weekend, so they play the following. So yeah, Either way, their next game is Alabama. So when you see them play Alabama on the 15th, I think it's going to take them out. And then they still have to go after that. They have to go to a tough Missouri team. Now I know Missouri is ranked 22nd, which I think I'd actually probably put Missouri up a little higher than that. But Missouri is a very tough team. So they have two really tough teams that they have to get through. And I don't think they can, and I don't know if they can do it. So Texas has a tough schedule. Oklahoma has a tough schedule. So I think by the 15th, this whole rankings is going to change a lot. And we're going to have to, you know what I'm saying? So even before you get to that point, we still got to get past the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. The team to watch out for that could get in, that's a little bit of ways out right now, and they've got a chance. I don't think they will, but they've got a chance, and that's Michigan. The reason I say that is because if Michigan can win out until they go undefeated the rest of the way until they play Ohio State. And Michigan, Ohio State, that game's crazy every year. Every year. Michigan has beat Ohio State a lot of times when they were not supposed to. So if Michigan was to win out and beat Ohio State, they could get into the top 12. So even with 2 losses, because if you have an Ohio State win on your thing, so Michigan, if they can win out, Michigan is a team that could get in there. A team that surprised me, me and Chris talked about last night, and we've talked before about it, that we think they're a fairly good team. They just don't have a quarterback, and that's Iowa. Iowa was number 20, even though they got 2 losses, but they got kind of rewarded because they're the only team that's given Indiana a good game this year. Really a good game. They only lost to them, I think, by 3 points, and lost, like the end of the game. So Iowa got kind of rewarded but I think Iowa's got, that's a big game. Iowa's got Oregon coming up. And Iowa's only got 2 losses. If Iowa could beat Oregon and win out, that's another team that could jump in there. And Oregon, if Oregon gets another loss because they don't have a great win, because their great win was going to be Penn State, and Penn State went all to hell.
Yeah.
So Oregon could be in trouble.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you look, I'm telling you, if you look at Missouri, I'm not a Missouri fan, but I like what they've done. I mean, if you look at Mizzou, they have 2 losses, and both losses are against Vanderbilt and Alabama, which are in the top 10. Yeah. And they only lost by a field goal to Bama, and they lost by a field goal to Vandy. Yeah. Or excuse me, they lost by a touchdown to Vandy. Well, so, I mean, we're talking 1 possession losses. I mean, that's against very high-ranked teams. I mean, again, their next chance is going to be against A&M this weekend. They play at 2:30, and I believe it's in – or no, actually, I believe it's in Missouri. And then they play Oklahoma on the 22nd, and that's in Norman. So, I mean, they still got some opportunities to make some headway if they can get the wins.
They do, but what hurts them, Jay, is they're down to the 3rd quarterback. They lost their first quarterback first game of the year. The second quarterback did a great job, and then they lost him in that game against Vandy because I think they would have won that game. I really do. I think Missouri, if he don't get hurt, I think Missouri wins that game. So now they're down to the 3rd-string quarterback. So I don't have a lot of confidence in them winning the order.
Yeah,
but you never know. But yeah, the teams that I thought were overrated was definitely, I thought Texas Tech, Notre Dame was also another one. I thought Oregon should have been over Texas Tech, and I don't agree with Notre Dame being a top 10. I mean, I know they lost to Texas A&M. That's a good, a good loss. So I mean, and I forget the other one who they lost to, but it was a close game too. Both those losses they have were close games, like last 4th quarter type losses. Was it Miami? I think Miami beat Notre Dame.
They did.
Yeah, Miami was
one of Notre Dame's losses was Miami. The other one was it Alabama?
No, Texas A&M.
Or Texas A&M. I apologize. A&M.
Yeah, Notre Dame lost their first 2 games of the year. Texas A&M and Miami.
Yeah,
but they don't really have a great win right now. The only great win is USC, and USC's at around top 25. USC's an upcoming team. I don't think they're quite there yet. But that's the only really good win that Notre Dame's got. So again, I think Notre Dame is. I mean, how can you say that Notre Dame's win is better than what Texas was? They beat Oklahoma. So at the time, Oklahoma was rated like number 7. USC was rated 21 or 22 when Notre Dame beat them. So yeah, Notre Dame's got 2 losses. Texas has got 2 losses. I don't understand. Texas lost to the number 1 team in the country. So why is Notre Dame over Texas?
The only thing I can think of that the only reason I can say I agree with it is that loss to Florida really hurt them because Florida wasn't ranked. So they lost. I mean, though Florida has I know they have a good team, but you still lost to an unranked team. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the only thing I would give you is that the fact that we took it as an unranked team.
That's possible.
But that's just the politics side of it, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you this question. Do a little hot seat for college. In your opinion, who are the top 5 college teams in the country right now, in your opinion?
Oh man. Oh, that's not hard. Definitely Ohio. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Ohio. They're the champions. They're undefeated, and they're in first.
Yep.
I mean, you can't take nothing away from that. And the fact that John Day can take a guy like Sandwich, not that Sandwich back, he's like the number 9 guy drafted. So, but he's he's like Arch. Arch was highly drafted. But, this is the first year they actually played, and the fact that this is his first year being a starter and he's doing so well. You got to know Ohio's number 1. Number 2 would be obviously Indiana. And honestly, I think you can make a case in some cases that you can even put Indiana at number 1. They played just as hard of a schedule, so I wouldn't be mad if they had Indiana at number 1.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, OSU, Indiana. I mean, they got it. I think they have it right. To be honest with you, I think the top 5, the way it's ranked. I mean, you can interchange Alabama, Georgia all you want. You can even interchange any of the top 3 because they're undefeated. But I think the top 5, the way it's ranked, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't either. There's one question I got. Of course, I'm a Big Ten guy, so that may be part of the reason. Oregon, who's got 1 loss, and it was to number 2 IU. Okay, and people are going to say, well, Alabama has beat better teams than what Oregon has. And I agree with that. They've played a tougher schedule and have beat better teams. But my thing is, Oregon is still only loss is to IU, and Alabama's loss was to not a very good Florida State.
Yeah, and I was only talking about the top 5. If you're asking about the top 12 in general, I mean BYU. Yeah, I don't know, man. I know they're undefeated, but again, I don't like their schedule. I think they might. That's a hard one because they're undefeated. It keeps them in there, and I understand that, but I don't like the scheduling.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm saying is, Jay, is I understand that Alabama is 4, but they got a bad loss. I think it was by more than 10 points to Florida State, if I remember correctly, and Oregon lost by, I believe it was 7 or 8 to IU, maybe 10 to IU, and I was at Oregon. I don't remember. I think Alabama's game against Florida State. I can't remember if I was in Florida State or Alabama. But my thing, I think Alabama's loss is a lot worse than what Oregon's loss was. A lot worse because, I mean, you lost to IU. And I understand you can only play your schedule. I know Alabama's beat some teams in the SC that's been ranked, 2 or 3 teams. I understand that. But I just wonder if maybe Oregon, I mean, if I'm Oregon, I think you could be up. You should be up in that top 5 or 6. I think they at least can make that argument. That hey, I understand that I mean, Alabama beat Georgia. That's a good win. There's no doubt about that. And Georgia beat Ole Miss, because if Georgia don't beat Ole Miss would be probably number 4 right now because they would be undefeated. They'd be above Alabama and Georgia right now. So, but it don't make a big difference right now. I mean,
the only thing I would say, Tony, I feel like what keeps Alabama where they are 2 factors. Let's be honest. This stuff is all political. It's all these writers' opinions about what they think. And a lot of you can't tell me some are influenced. There can be any number of factors that influence these writers, right? I mean, I'm not going to say that there's some shady things, but sometimes there can be some shady things. I'm just saying you don't know what's behind the doors when these dudes are doing their writings. You don't know what their mindsets are. But I will tell you, the strength of schedule, number 1, and Alabama's reputation, number 2, and the fact that they were able to resurrect and do what they've done, I think keeps Alabama in there. It's more the storyline because you look at Oregon's schedule, and I haven't seen it all, but I'm looking at it right now. So they beat Penn State, but I think they beat Penn State after they'd already been knocked down. Correct?
No, that was Penn State's first loss.
Was that Penn State's first win? Okay.
In overtime, and then everything went to hell after that.
Right. Now, yeah, again, I see what you're saying. When you look at IU, they lost by 10, but when you look at their schedule, Tony, I mean, up until where they are, man, right? You can't look at the fall, but look at where they are. They beat a number 3 Penn State and a number 7 IU, or excuse me, they beat Penn State, but they lost to IU. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I think it's because Alabama played those 4 back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, and they made it through the gauntlet and they took the one to FSU. I think they look at that FSU game and say, it's a one-off. Look at their body work after the FSU game. You know, and I think that's kind of what took it. Now, again, this is all political crap, Tony. You can make a case for Oregon to be, and you can make a case for Alabama not to be there.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's all subject to opinion. And that's the only thing that sucks about college football is the rankings and everything is always subject to somebody's opinion.
Okay. Jay, my next hot seat question for you is, does Texas make the playoffs?
Golly, man. Honestly, I got to tell you, if you'd asked me this after that Florida loss, I'd have said not a chance in hell. And if you'd asked me after those 2 games after the Florida loss, there were some subpar schools, Mississippi State being one of them, I'd have told you, hell no, we suck. We barely escaped Mississippi State. But, you know, then when you do the Red River shootout and we take out Oklahoma, the way we took out Oklahoma in the fashion in which we did it, and then you take the Vanderbilt game and the way Arch played that Vanderbilt game, because that was I had 2 big concerns. Can Arch do what he needs to do to get the big wins and do it in a convincing fashion? Not just a little bit of a win, but a convincing fashion. Well, he met that one goal. The second one is, can that defense rise to the challenge? And I don't know about the defense yet. I think I'm starting to kind of get a warm and fuzzy now about Arch. I don't have a warm and fuzzy yet about that defense. And I think that's what kind of scares me a little bit. So if you ask me going into this against Georgia and against A&M, I'm feeling 50-50 right now. I think the Georgia game is really going to set the tone for me personally. I got to wait till we get past Georgia. I want to play Georgia, and then if we can handle Georgia in a convincing way, not it doesn't be a blowout, but at least 10 points or better. If we can beat Georgia 10 points or better, then I'm going to feel a lot better going up against A&M when we get to that point. And then furthermore, the playoffs down the road. But right now, going into this, I'm 50-50. I was damn near 10-1 or 10-90, and now I'm at 50-50. And I think the Georgia then could swing me beyond if we can get it 10 points or better. And if Archie plays a really good game in that.
Yeah, if the offensive line and the defense was playing a little bit better, I'd be more confident. I'm gonna say 40%, but I think if they beat Georgia, I would take it up. Honestly, I think if they beat Georgia, I think they'd have a good chance to upset Texas A&M. But again, I would almost go 55 or 60. But right now I'm only 40. They got to get past Georgia first, and then I would be a lot more confident because look, you would have wins. Look at the wins you would have. You know, not quite in a row, but almost in a row. You would have beat Oklahoma. You would have beat Vandy. Now you beat Georgia, and then if you was to beat Texas A&M, I mean that's as good as wins of Alabama would have. The only thing that kills you, I mean, you would get the playoffs. The only thing that would kill you was that one bad loss that you had.
Yeah, if we went out, we're in the playoffs. If we take a loss in any way, we're done.
Yeah, I think so. And my last question for the college hot seat, Jay, is Texas Tech. They're a team that spent a lot of money. I think they're a good team. They remind me a little bit of IU last year. They spent a lot of money and they've improved a bunch. But just like IU, I just don't think that they can play with the big guys. I mean, they had a bad game and they lost to a team that I think was Arizona State. I think maybe I can't remember for sure, but a team that they definitely should have beat on paper. They definitely should have beat Arizona State, and they lost that game, give up a lot of points. I think that I think Texas Tech's kind of where IU was last year. Maybe not quite as strong as IU, but I think they're moving in the right direction. But I definitely think that they're way overrated at number 8. Just my opinion.
Here's my thoughts on Texas Tech. And I get why you would feel like you think they're overrated. That's a very easy thing to think or understand. And again, there is some legitimacy to that. Even I think when you look at the schedule, right up until that ASU game, the most points they had given up is 14.
Yeah.
So you look at UAPB, don't even know who that is. Could be peanut butter and jelly for all I care. But they took about 67-7. Then you get Kent State, 62-14, Oregon State, 45-14, Utah, which is their first ranked team they play, which is a good Utah team, 34-10, 24 points, very convincing. Houston, 35-11, which, by the way, I think Houston was ranked at one point. I don't know if they're still ranked. And then KU, 42-17. They were cruising, Tony. They were cruising. And I think to a certain point, and this can happen to you sometimes, you are so comfortable with these blowouts that you just think every game is going to be a blowout. And so therefore you get a little complacent. And I think that ASU game was a game of complacency because they only lost by 4 points. But when you look after the ASU game, I think they had a meeting, came together, and woke up because then they went into Oklahoma State and blew them out 42-0. And then they went into Kansas State and blew them out 43-20. So they got back onto that training. The thing with them is the next big game for them is BYU. And I think this is where BYU falls out of that top rankings. Are the top 12. I think this Texas Tech game is going to knock them out. I think Texas Tech does beat BYU. I think BYU is knocked out. I think Texas Tech climbs. But the problem is they can't get complacent because then they get UCF and West Virginia University to round it out. So they have to keep it going into the playoffs.
Yep. Okay. I see what you're saying. I just don't know their wins if they deserve to be number 8. But like I said, they're gonna have a chance to prove themselves. So we'll find out. Jay, if you're ready, let's move on to a little bit of NFL. Let's talk about some of the trade deadline and our thoughts on it. I'll go first, and we'll talk a little bit about the Colts. They got Sauce Gardner. I think it's a very good pickup for a team that I think. Let's just be honest. I think in their minds, hey, we're close to being a team that can play for the AFC Championship game or maybe make the Super Bowl. And we think we've got our quarterback. We feel like we're going to be able to sign him. So I think they're confident in that. We got a bunch of receivers that are playing well. We've got pretty good depth. Our biggest weakness is our cornerbacks. They would like to have another pass rusher, but it's very hard to find a pass rusher to trade for. Let's be honest. And they made some inquiries about Sauce. They got him. Do I think they give up too much for him? Maybe. But if they make it to the AFC Championship game the next 2 years, or if they make it to the Super Bowl, them draft picks are going to be 30, 29, 30, 31, 32. So it's just a wait and see type thing. I think they went and got a player that they think can make their team considerably better. And so, it's possible that they did give up a lot. I'm not going to deny that, because if another team didn't give up that much, I would say they give up a lot. But I think we got to wait and see. If they make it to the Super Bowl this year, then I would think it's warranted. So it's kind of wait and see thing. So on that, your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, when I look at this trade deadline, I see the Jets as being a winner.
Yep.
They got a crap ton. Matter of fact, let me pull that up super fast. I got it in my. I took a picture of it because I want to have it super quick. But I do think the Jets and all the capital that they brought in were one of the biggest winners, to the point where is that the right? Yeah, that is. Okay, so notable draft pickups for the next 2 years. So in 26, they got a first rounder of their own. Then they have Indy's first rounder for 26. That's 2 first rounders. They also have 2 second rounders, one of the Jets and one from Dallas. So that's 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. And then at 27, They get a first rounder of their own. They get a first rounder from Dallas, and they get a first rounder from Indy. So that's 3 first-round picks in 27. So they have literally set themselves up to do a quick rebuild. The problem is the Jets' culture, and I hope Aaron Glenn, as he continues to try to change that culture, makes good selections with those picks, because that's a big thing there. And also, when they get them, they have to develop and cultivate them, and then have them go out and be productive. So they have a lot to do. It's not enough just to get the damn picks. It's what you do with the picks once you get them, and making sure you get the right picks. So there's a lot that they have to still do with that. But in terms of draft capital coming back, Jets are the winner. The second winner is the Colts picking up Sauce Gardner. And let me tell you, I think what you spent is perfect. I don't think you overspent at all. If anything, you might have underspent, because you got to look at Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner is a shutdown corner. That means whenever he's on the field, you don't got to worry about that side. That dude has that side of the field locked down, almost like what Deion Sanders was for the Cowboys and all them back in those days. He literally just shut down one side of that secondary, and then you can focus on the other side more than you normally would, which then really gives you a solid, formidable secondary on that defense. So anytime you can get a guy that can shut down one section of the field, that's almost as if you had gotten Micah Parsons to be your linebacker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even though that you didn't get an edge rusher, you got a shutdown corner, which is just as good.
Yeah.
So then I look at Sauce Gardner. He's the next winner of this, because he's going from the last place team to probably one of the top teams at the AFC.
Yeah.
So you guys, Sauce Gardner, Jets, Colts, those are my winners. You know who the loser was? Dallas. Which, by the way, if you want to know, Tony, that's why I opened up the show with the interview about Jerry Jones, was so I can wrap it around full circle to this specific question that you asked right here, right now. What does Jerry do? He should have gone after Sauce Gardner. He should have taken those 2 picks that we got from Green Bay, them 2 low-level first-round picks, and gave them to the Jets with Mace Smith, that defensive tackle, and brought in a Sauce Gardner. Because you're right, Tony, they couldn't go get an edge rusher. They couldn't. Nobody was going to give it. Well, okay, if I can't get an edge rusher, what's my next need? Well, let me see. Last time I checked, our secondary sucks. How about we go get a shutdown corner, put him over there so I ain't got to worry about one side of the field, and then I can concentrate on the other side, and then maybe our secondary will actually look like it's doing its job. So, Jerry, defensive tackle, nah, we didn't need it. Middle linebacker who hasn't played a little bit, not so much. But Sauce Gardner, that's what we needed, and you didn't do it, and that's why you're Jerry freaking Jones.
Yeah, it's weird because I listened to some of the stuff about Sauce. Nobody knew he was available. I don't think he was available. The Colts, I guess about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Colts started calling everybody in the league, and they were looking for an impact player. They was looking for, back in the backfield, cornerback, or a pass rusher. And they talked to everybody, and they started talking to the Jets. And I think this deal didn't really come up till 48 hours ago. About 48 hours before the trade deadline is when the things really got kind of serious. And they got him. Now, you say the Jets are a winner. I agree, but me and Chris talked last night, and the Jets give up a lot too. And the reason I say that is they give up, they give up the defensive tackle who was a 3-time Pro Bowler, pretty good player. It was under contract for, I think, the next couple of years. You also give up Sauce, who just signed a 4-year extension. You was going to have him to like 2030. So, I mean, you had 2 very good players that I know you got a lot back for them, but you don't know what you're getting. I mean, again, we're talking about the Jets. If they screw up the draft, then you got nothing. So, I mean, you know what you had with Sauce, and you knew what you had with Williams. So, I still think, I mean, it seems on paper they got a lot of picks. They should do well, but we're talking about the New York Jets. Are they going to pick the right guys? I think the Jets, honestly, I think they may have the right coach, possibly. I don't know if they have the right general manager.
And that I totally 100% agree with as well. I felt like if the Jets want to change this team, like really change this team and make an impact, when they let go of what's his name, and they brought in Aaron Glenn. I thought that was great. I mean, Aaron Glenn, he's a great coach. I felt like they've also, like you said, they should have did a complete clearing of the house and just bring in a new GM, a new coach that had the same mindsets, that had the same idea for what they want that culture to look like, and then let's draft the players that fit what we're trying to do culture-wise, and then let's really elevate this team. Now, you may have to take a step back for a few years, but honestly, I'd rather take a step back and rebuild the right way so I know we're going positive in the right direction than what they got going on, which has just been a bunch of whatever.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talk about the Dallas thing. A lot of so-called experts. One dude that used to play for Dallas and who he liked to pick, but he did also say he likes Williams a lot, but he also said he doesn't think Williams makes a difference this year. He says, I think Williams is more for the future. I think the linebacker they got is more for the future, and then build off of that. He said, and then next year try to get a pass rusher, whether it's in the draft or free agency or whatever. He says, so he thinks, he said people that are looking at it for this year, no, it's probably not going to make a difference this year. But he said he liked the deal. And I've seen a couple other people that liked it too. But a lot of people, there was a lot of writers, I don't know about experts, but there was a lot of articles that I seen that felt like the Jets fleeced Dallas and fleeced the Colts, that they got so much back and they're a lot better situation for it. But again, it's remaining to see about that. You can't judge that right now. And I think Sauce Gardner is the deal where is the guy that's going to make an immediate impact. Either is or isn't. We'll know right away here. Well, I mean, maybe not the first couple games, but by the end of the season, we'll know what kind of impact Gardner is going to make for the Colts. I don't know that we will with Williams, and I definitely not going to know what the Jets are going to have.
My only question with this thing with Logan Wilson is I was looking at the depth chart, and they got him listed right now as questionable, and it doesn't say anything about calf. He's questionable with the calf. Now, I mean, usually when you bring up somebody on, don't they have to come with don't they have to pass the physical and all that? How do you pass the physical when you got an injury? I don't understand how that happens.
Unless they waived it. I mean, I guess
you're right. I guess unless they waived it, but I'm just saying, like, damn. I mean, we're already bringing a guy in who's injured, so I don't know how long he's going to be questionable or how much time he's going to miss. But again, we only gave up a 7th round for Wilson, so I'm not really upset about that.
No,
the 7th round is that's not anything to fret over. But
the one thing I did want to bring up about Sauce, and one thing I like about Sauce going to the Colts, is I think he's a perfect fit for our defensive coordinator. And something I didn't realize, because, of course, when you say that this guy came from the Bengals, you're going to say, well, the Bengals had a terrible defense. At one point, they had a pretty decent defense, and they started letting all their players go and start paying offensive players. And then they used that defensive coordinator for a scapegoat. If you ain't got players that can play, you're going to be in trouble. But he's the last team in the AFC in the playoffs to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, that defensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. So, and I think his schemes and stuff, I think everything matches up well with Sauce Gardner. I think that's another reason why they got him, because I think he's a perfect fit. One thing Sauce has got to do as of late, he's been pretty good as far as he's only been getting about 2 catches a game. He's always been giving up. One thing he has gotten a bad habit of, and something he's got to clean up, is he's got a lot of penalties called on as of late. So he's got to clean that up. I don't think that'll be an issue. I really, because he's going to have a lot more help behind him that he's not going to have to depend on. He's going to be on a lot better team. Let's put it that way. So it's not all on him. So I think that's going to help. So it's going to be fun to see as a Colts fan, and I hope things work out for you with Dallas. Again, I don't know. I don't think you're going to see a payoff this year. It's hopefully you'll see a payoff in the next couple of years.
I like how you're extending your sympathies to me, man. It makes me feel good. No, it's okay, because I'm just saying, like, I know what my Cowboys team is, man.
Yeah. Well, and there was 2 trades that they reported on ESPN as it happened, and then they fell through. The Brees Hall one fell through because the Jets wanted a third rounder, and they tried to say no. We're only going to give a fourth rounder, and Jets will screw you. Brees Hall's all pissed off because he thought he was going to be a Kansas City Chief. I think he was already told he was going to be a Kansas City Chief. That fell through. He's madder than hell. And then the guy that used to be with Dallas, the running back, it looked like he was going to be going to San Diego, and that fell through. They changed their mind.
So that was interesting. I think both teams in that scenario are losers, because the reason why I say that is when you look at the Chiefs, they have no run game. Literally, they have zero run game. Pacheco, nada. Hunt, nada. So when you have zero run and you're trying to get back and make a run seriously at the playoffs and you have no run game, that's a problem. And then you look at Brees Hall and the Jets, and they're not really doing much over there. And I think they got a little too greedy sometimes, with what they're asking for Brees. But I think ultimately the loser of that is going to be the Chiefs. If I'm the Chiefs, I probably do pull that trigger. And I think I'm only pull that trigger because Brees Hall is probably going to do much better than what I've already got on there. Unless they feel like the offensive line is the bigger issue and not the running game.
I think Brees did well in Kansas City because they got a strong passing game. And even though they may not have a great offensive line, they do got a strong passing game, which help open things up a little bit for Brees, better than New York was. So I think Brees would have done well. I think a big upgrade over the other two guys. I really believe that. And even if you gave up a third rounder, you're not giving up too much for Brees Hall. He's a former first round pick, and still got a lot left in him, I believe. Because he's not real old. So I think Kansas City screwed the pooch by not giving up a number 3.
Oh, yeah. And I think sometimes, like you said earlier, Tony, when you were talking about sauce versus picks with the Jets, you know what you got with Brees. You don't know what you're going to get with that third or fourth round pick that whatever they weren't willing to do. You don't know what that pick's going to give you, but you know that Brees is going to give you a run game, and you have no run game. So why not take a chance on it and let's see if we can make this work? So I think the Kansas City Chiefs also are a loser in this. Ultimately, I do want to give one more winner. And I got to tell you, man, Aaron Darnold is going to be throwing that rock a lot is Seattle. I think when they picked up Rashid Shaheed or whatever his last name is, Rashid Shaheed, that's such a weird name. She was naming him on purpose. But anyway, when you get a guy like that has that much speed, I was telling for the other day, I feel like that's just the greatest show on earth 2.0 with Holt and Bruce. So, I mean, I tell you, if you haven't gone out and gotten Darnold as your quarterback in fantasy football, if you need an emergency backup or a fill-in or whatever, you need to be grabbing Sam Darnold. That dude is going to be throwing it out like he did when he was with Minnesota.
Have you heard what they've named that team now? You remember we had the Legion of Doom. Now they're calling them the Legion of Zoom because they got all them wide receivers.
Yeah, Legion of Zoom. I mean, literally. Bro, they have so much speed. And what that's going to do is when you got two speedsters and Darnold's airing it out, it's going to open up that run game. Yeah. And then you got Walker and Charbonnet are going to. You got them on your team. You're going to.
Yeah,
you're going to support.
I agree. Hey, Jay, let's move on to a little bit of NBA. I'm going to give you a little bit what's going on in the East and the West, and then we'll talk some about that and about your Houston Rockets. And I don't want to, but I got to talk about my Indiana Pacers. Things are not going well, but we'll talk about that too. Let's talk a little bit about the Oklahoma Thunder, man. Are they planning on just going undefeated this year? They're 7-0. Alexander averaging 33, almost 33 and a half points a game. So I mean, he's on MVP alert already. Thunder looking really good. Another team in the West looking good is the Spurs. Wembanyama averaging almost 26 and a half points a game, and also almost averaging 13 and a half rebounds a game. So the Spurs are looking very good, very early on, but looking good. A little bit of a surprise is the Lakers are doing well with all the injuries they've got. They've got a lot of injuries and are 6-2 right now. And the thing that stood out to me was Reeves, who's averaging over 31 points a game and over 9 assists a game. So Reeves is really stepping up for him right now. I mean, they don't have a whole lot else to really go to. So I guess it's got to be him with the injuries they got right now. But the Lakers are stepping up. In the East, A couple of surprise teams in a way. Philadelphia, a little bit of a surprise, especially because Embiid is not playing a lot. 5-1 right now. Maxey averaging 33.5 points a game and 9 assists, looking fantastic. And then the other one is Chicago, man. 5-1 right now, looking really good. Giddy averaging 22 points a game and almost 9 assists a game. So Chicago's looking good. So right now, are you a little surprised the Spurs and Philly and Chicago are doing what? I mean, I know it's early. I mean, we could talk in 30 games from now, and neither one of them could be 500. But are you a little surprised the way the Spurs and Philly and Chicago have started off?
I'm probably more surprised at Chicago and Philly than I am San Antonio, because I felt like San Antonio has quietly been adding pieces to add around Wembanyama for the last 2 years. So I think now we're starting to see the fruits of the labors of those acquisitions, and all those also the maturity and the experience that Wemby's been gaining. And look, the Spurs is a great organization from the top all the way to the bottom. That's just a great organization. As long as Pop is still in that building, someone's getting developed at some level, I promise you. So I'm not really as surprised about San Antonio as much as I am Philly and Chicago, because I'm pretty sure if you ask Philly sports guy, matter of fact, I have asked him, and even he is shocked right now at how well that team is playing. So that just kind of gives you when a super fan is shocked. Yeah, I'm shocked. I think if you ask Mike Hughes, and if you ask Rob Scott, by the way, shout out to those guys. I'm pretty sure even they might even be, or I might tell you that they're surprised at how well they started. I really am. But it's early. We're only about 9 games or so in, 7-8 games, whatever it is.
Yeah, about 7 or 8 games for most teams. So
but
it's
a hell of a start.
But I am impressed, and I'm gonna say I'm shocked with the Lakers because of the Lakers' injuries. To be 6-2 with all the injuries they got, they're doing well. Reeves is, this could be a turning point for Reeves. Maybe he will become that bona fide number 3 that we had questioned before. Was he really a 3? He may be answering our questions.
And I'll tell you, depending on LeBron's health, because he's getting older, he's in his 40s or whatever, or he's close to 40, if he's not already 40. That health is going to be load managed. Let's put it that way. Bron's going to get load managed. So I almost it's going to probably maybe what I'm saying, but it's going to maybe piss some people off. Maybe it pisses Jonathan Mathis, whoever off. But I almost think now that with the emergence of Austin and how well he's playing, that it could be Braun that gets put in that 3rd spot. Yeah. And it could be Doncic, Reeves, and Braun. Yep. And again, that's no knock on Braun. Look, when you turn 40, you're not that same guy anymore. You're not that Braun anymore, right? You still got the legacy, but you're not that guy. So I think if you're asking me, I think the new big 3 is Luka, Reeves, and Braun.
Yeah, I agree. And real quick, I want to go back to Chicago for just a second. One thing that I looked at when I was looking at their games and checking them out being 5-1 is the thing that impressed me. They almost have been having like 9 or 10 guys in double figures every game. So they're really spreading the ball around. I think they had their 10th guy had 9 points. They was 1 point away from having 10 guys in double figures. So they're really spreading the ball out and got a lot of people contributing. And that's what kind of like the Pacers did, So I think maybe Chicago's trying to build that way. Not saying trying to be like the Pacers, you know what I'm saying, but
right.
Definitely
I got you.
In their own style. Because they probably don't. I mean, they didn't got that true superstar. So they ain't just going to be one guy that's going to carry the Bulls. They're going to have to carry it together as a team. Same thing with like the Pacers. Even though you got Halliburton, who I think is definitely trending to be a superstar, but you know what I'm saying. There's more like a team. He was a point guard, so it was more like a team. You didn't need Halliburton to score 30 points a game. That type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk about our teams a little bit. The Houston Rockets and then the Pacers. I'll go first. We're in trouble. We just got so many injuries. I was confident that we was going to be a playoff team, even though Halliburton was going to be out, because I thought Mathurin was going to have a good year. I thought we was going to be in good shape. And then the first thing happened, T.J. McConnell got hurt before the season started, and he's still out. And then we play the first couple of games, and Nembhard gets hurt. He's out with a shoulder. Mathurin gets hurt. He's week to week. Obi Toppin's out till at earliest January or February. So, right there's 4, not counting Halliburton, who's not going to be back at all. So you got 5 guys there who were big time contributors on that team last year, not playing right now. And we've got 2 or 3 guys from the G League playing. And we're playing, we're in games, but we're not winning them. I mean, we won 1 game. I think we're like 1-5, 1-6. I think we're in trouble. It's going to be tough for us to make the playoffs now. And people go, "Oh, it's only 6 games in." I just don't know if we're going to be strong enough to be able to go on 10, 11 game wins. I mean, to win, to get back in it and win 10 games in a row. I think we're going to be a scrappy, tough team. And if you get, I guess my point of view is we're going to have to play well and try to get by halfway during the season. We got to get close back to 500. I seen somebody still predict them to make the play-in and win about 37 games this year. So that's a prediction I just seen today. So I'm hoping that we can make the playoffs. Maybe we're better off if we don't. We get a better draft pick. I I didn't feel that way coming into the season, but I thought we could be a 5, 6, 7 seed. But with all the injuries, I'm really worried that we're not going to be able to do that now.
Yeah, man. When it comes to your team, I totally get what you're saying because number one, when you were dealing, man, and I've dealt with injuries. I mean, what you're going through right now, Tony, is exactly what we went through with the Astros. You know what I'm saying? Where you know your team is good enough, but you just don't have the players on the floor to back it up. And I feel like that's where we are right now, or that's where we were with the Astros, is where you guys are right now with the Pacers. And so it's almost like this point, you got to start like, you know what? We're going to play competitive basketball because our fans deserve that. But I think even our fans are realistic, and even our fans know if you look at our injury report, this is the best we can do. And, we're going to fight. We're going to live to fight another day. And I think that's what and I think we knew that even going into it, Tony, when the playoffs were going down and before Halliburton suffered that injury, I told you, I said, man, I remember I told you, I said, when he was injured, I said, Tony, I don't think he should be playing. I think that they got to labor his minutes. But, I understand. It's all about, look, we're in the finals. We got to play. We got to do this, that, and the other because you don't know if you're going to get back. And I get all of that. The problem is, but when he got that injury and he went down, I knew, regardless of even if your team was super healthy, I don't think you can get an NBA title without Halliburton being there.
No, I don't either. I thought we could I thought we could make the playoffs, maybe even win a first round game because I had a lot of faith in our team, but I also thought we was going to be healthy. So I didn't think that we had a chance to go, very far, as far as that goes. I just didn't, because Halliburton is in my opinion, maybe even the heart, not only a great player, but also like the heart and soul of that team. So, a leader too. So, maybe not real vocal, but followed by example type guy. So, Jay, let's talk about your Houston Rockets.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Houston Rockets, I really like the way we are progressing in this rebuild. Ever since we got rid of Harden and started collecting draft picks and started rebuilding this team to look to the future, and of course, then we brought in Odaka. And of course, what he has done with this team that we've been giving him, when you started off in 21, which I guess is roughly about when this rebuild had started, when we started collecting draft picks and things of that nature. In 21, we were at 20 wins, 62 losses. In 22 season, we were at 22 wins, 60 losses, which is a slight improvement. And then in 23, we took the first leap and we went 41-41. We got to 500. And then last year we were 52-30, and we made the playoffs. And then this year we're off to a 4-2 start, which we actually were 0-2, and then we went on this 4-game win streak. And I tell you, we've been getting better every single year. We've gotten better. Last year, what we learned about it is Jalen Green is just on the ropes of either good or not good. Good in regular season, disappears in playoffs. We've been through that with Harden. So I think we went and got rid of him along with Brooks and company. And we brought in Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant has fit in beautifully because he doesn't have to be the leader. He just goes out there and does what Kevin Durant does, which is just score baskets, play your game, and let the leadership to everybody else. And ever since he doesn't have that weight on his shoulders, he's played phenomenal. And then you look at a guy like Amen Thompson, who in the playoffs last year, I saw it. I said it to my boys, and I think I said it to you guys. I said, Amen Thompson last year in the playoffs became the vocal leader of this team. You could see it. He was talking to his teammates. He was giving them encouragement. He was doing all the things that a leader is supposed to do. His passion, his intensity were there, and he finally had a season high at 27 points, and to get the Rockets their fourth straight win over the Dallas Mavericks, which it should be noted that AD was, I don't think, in that game. But regardless, when you look at this Rockets team, we're kicking ass. Like I told you earlier, our bench is scoring throughout the roof. We've been averaging over 20 plus points just off the bench alone in these 6 games. Now, we were off the other night, so I think tonight we get the Grizzlies, and I think that's in Memphis. I don't believe that's in Houston. But again, John Morant doesn't exactly look exactly happy to be with the Memphis Grizzlies. I think he said he's not having fun anymore. So I fully expect us to get this win against the Grizzlies tonight. It is in Memphis. And then after that is the big game, Tony. Actually, it's a big 2 games. After Memphis, we go to San Antonio, and we play those Spurs that are the number 2 spot. And then after that, we go to play Milwaukee in Milwaukee. So, and of course, the rest of the schedule is what it is. So, the next couple of games, I want to see how we do against San Antonio. I want to see how we do against Milwaukee. To get a better feel for this Rockets team in terms of the acquisitions and whatnot. But I got to tell you, I like my team. I like what we're doing. I like the direction we're heading. And I really thought the losing Fred VanVleet was going to hurt us, but it hasn't really hurt us. I'll just take that Dallas, and then I'll end it with this. I'm just going to take the Dallas game, for example, to show you kind of what I'm talking about in terms of getting help from everybody, and not just a couple of players, but getting help from everybody. And when you look at that game, we had about 9 guys in double figures in points. We had 4 guys that had 9 or more rebounds. So we're averaging like 54 rebounds a game, and our shooting's on point. So I like the team for what it is right now.
Well, I think the big thing was, I know you was worried, and I was worried when VanVleet went out. But the good thing about VanVleet going out when he did, because it didn't happen halfway through the season. It happened before even the season started. So they knew about it. They made adjustments, and they can make adjustments the first 20 games or so and get where they need to be. So it wasn't like an injury that happened, 40 games in. And now, now what are we going to do? We've been playing this way. Now we got to change everything. So I think that was, don't get me wrong. It was bad that VanVleet got hurt, but the timing of it worked out for you guys because it gave you guys plenty of time to work through it. So, I believe in Houston. I think Houston's going to have as good a chance as anybody to try to dethrone, if anybody can dethrone Oklahoma. I don't know if anybody can, but I think Houston's going to have as good as chance, because I think Houston matches up well with Oklahoma. I think they match up better with them. I think Denver matches up with them. I think Houston does. I'm not sure about the Lakers yet. If the Lakers center comes through for them and plays well, maybe. But I'm waiting to see on the Lakers if they can match up with them. But I think Houston and Denver matches up well with Denver. Now, whether they can beat them or not in a series, that's a different story. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I like what Houston's doing. It's early, but hey.
Yeah, right now, like you said, the number 1 team is Oklahoma City Thunder, at least on our side of it anyway. Our number 1 team is the Thunder, at 8-0. So, those are the top dogs. Now, after them, then you got the Lakers on a 4-game win streak. You got us on a 4-game win streak. Right now, Rockets are at number 5. We're only like 1 game behind San Antonio for the number 2 spot. So when we play, if we beat the Grizzlies tonight, and then beat San Antonio on the 7th, then it could be Houston very well in that number 2 spot easily. Yeah. And of course, it depends on what the Lakers do as well. So I don't want to take that. I guess we could maybe be number 3, but depending on what the Lakers do.
Yeah, man, it's early. It's hard for me to get into. I'm gonna be honest. It's hard for me to get into the NBA right now because I was covering baseball and watching baseball. I watched more baseball this year than I have in a lot of years. And then, of course, I always watch a lot of college football and NFL. So I'm still kind of in that mode right now. When those things wind down, I'll start maybe getting into the NBA more. Well, Jay, that's all I've got. You got anything before we get out of here?
No, that was the big. I think we hit all the big things I wanted to talk about. Damn, and Glenn's here. Glenn, I'm sorry, Glenn. Hey, that's my bad. Hey, Glenn, I'm sorry, man. I had a different screen pulled up, so I didn't see you popping on the bottom.
Hey, you're good. I just wanted to add to the Houston Rockets commentary.
Yeah,
You guys are going to win the West this year.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, give me your thoughts. Just give me your winners and give me your losers in the trade.
Oh, Colts.
Colt.
I can't say for sure in the Cowboys. I need to see the product on the field as far as the Cowboys situation. So, but Colts for sure. That's
One
all I have
last
for that.
question. One last question. Notre Dame being at number 10. Agree with it? Disagree with it? If you disagree with it, where should they be ranked?
Well, I want to talk about their in-state brethren, the IU. I hate Ohio State bias. It drives me freaking insane. IU should be number 1.
I mean, I think me and Tony talked about that, and I told him, I said, if you flip those two teams, I'm okay with it. The only reason why I think Ohio should be at number 1 is because they are the defending champions, and until they take a loss, it's kind of hard to put the defending champions at number 2 when they haven't done anything to say otherwise. So I mean, look, I know Indiana want to be number 1. I know you think because you got Signetti and all this craziness, but hold your horses, killer. Let's see what Ohio does.
Hey, that 1 or 2 don't mean shit. We need to beat them in the Big Ten
Championship over here
championship.
at my place.
Need to beat them there in the Big Ten championship, and then you don't have to worry about it. But honestly, I don't care. I mean, I want to beat them in the Big Ten championship game, but I mean, could it be possible that they could play in the Big Ten championship game, both make the playoffs, and then both see each other again in the tournament? I mean, that's very possible.
I mean, can you imagine if the standings stay the way they stand going into the championship games? This could be the first time that I know of in a long time that the Big Ten championship probably has more weight in terms of viewership and credibility than the SEC does.
Yeah, and the SEC, especially through Nick Saban's whole tenure at Alabama, that game was pretty much the national championship precursor,
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I didn't think I'd ever say that, if it comes out to the Big Ten, could be the bigger championship game than the SEC, because for the longest time, we've always thought SEC, and now for the first time, we may be saying Big Ten.
Yeah. Those Big Ten tall game prices are insane right now. It's $300 to get in the building.
Yeah. Me and Chris have been looking at them. We've also been looking at something else, guys. Jay, I know you're a rock and roll fan. AC/DC is coming to Notre Dame to play a concert next September. They're at Notre Dame. Me and Chris is looking at the tickets. It's pretty expensive, but I also told them I know they're coming to Notre Dame, but Notre Dame is even further away than we could go to Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio is closer to us than what Notre Dame is, and they're going to be there in July, probably at that football stadium.
Yeah,
because they're playing big
stadium.
Oh yeah.
Hey, if you go, make sure you take a big shit in there, Tony.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Hey man, that's a little religious thing there, man. That's Jesus is up there. No, we can't do that.
It really is. Hey, it really is.
You're a heathen. Real quick.
I can be.
Hey, real quick, before we get out of here, first of all, man, Glenn, you're a little late, man. And we need to get you a little bit earlier, but that's okay. We'll talk about it offline. It's only gonna be a few dollars, Glenn. Yeah. You're a rich guy, so I know you can afford the fine. Not a big deal. With that having been said, though, make sure you tune in about less than an hour, probably about 50 minutes or so. We'll be going live. Celeste Marie Wilson will be on the Whiskey Hour podcast. If you don't know, she was at the Grand Ole Opry on Saturday and won a Josie Award for her storytelling video, If I Sin for You. And so we're going to talk to her about the Josie Awards at the Grand Ole Opry, what the Opry experience was like. And then also she played at the Nashville Songwriters Association also. And we're going to talk about that experience that she had there. But as we continue to grow along with Celeste, you don't want to miss this young lady because she plays country, southern rock, and folk all blended into one, but it is phenomenal. Anybody else got anything else they need to say? Or
Well, tune in tomorrow. We're going to do a college football preview. We'll do a preview for Thursday night football. Maybe we'll get on the hot seat a little bit tomorrow.
We all love the hot seat. It's your boy Jay, Glenn, and Tony. Again, man, much love to everybody, and we are so thankful that Gonzo's out of the hospital and recovering, and we hope to have him back here soon.
Yep.
And until next time, it's your boy Jay saying peace. That thing go right. Yeah.